Hello everyone, this is Lawrence Sutton and Chris Morris, and this is Free Speech News, where we are not politically correct, but biblically correct. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, Lawrence. Been out for a couple of weeks. I've had a lot going on with things going on politically, so anyway, great to be back in the saddle with you again this afternoon.
Yes, sir. You know, there's two things we don't discuss, and that's politics and religion. So, anyway, I tell you what I want to do. I actually want to start off with a couple of bills that we have been looking at, and
yes,
I think we're going to jump into the most controversial one first right now.
Well, were you going to talk about what's going on in Columbia?
I will in a little bit.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. So we'll bring that in a little bit. So right now we have House Bill 2845. And this is don't have cold beer bill.
Well, put it in simple layman terms, you can't sell cold beer in the store anymore. This is the type bill that this legislation has been introduced by a House member, Ron Gant. He is from over in Fayette County, over near Memphis area. Of course, personally, you know, Mr. Gant was involved in a very bad automobile collision head-on by a guy who was a drunk driver. And that's what has spawned this, is in his way of thinking. I'm just trying to think with him. You know, if we curb things, this could cut down on DUIs. Well, the only thing is, I'm sorry this happened to him. He's a good individual, but we don't make things personal in the legislators or in the House. And this is stomping all over your freedoms and liberties.
It absolutely is. You know, here's the other thing too is, so we've only gone after like convenience stores or Walmart, Kroger, grocery stores. But I would tend to think most drunk driving accidents happen people coming from the bars.
I do agree with that. They're going into the Walmarts or the Dollar Generals or wherever they're buying their beer and getting it and carrying it home.
Right.
And now I'm pretty sure everybody don't abide by the law. Well, I know they don't. And they pop a top
right
on a cold one and crack back while they're going home. They have them one, they may have two.
Right.
And those folks, you know, you got your open container laws. We can put so many laws on the books till we are lawed to death, and then we can't even enforce the laws that's on the books. And you and I have been talking about law reduction acts, you know.
And I tell you, that's the thing. And really, here's the thing.
But I want to crack this lid back a little bit further. I want to pull it back. You know, there are a lot of members of the House who signed on who are very, very conservative, constitutional members. And sometimes we let our emotions override our better judgment.
Right.
From a biblical standpoint and from a conservative standpoint even. And like I said, this wreck has had severe damage to Ron, that he uses a cane daily. So, and I'm sorry this happened to him. It's a sad thing. He could have been hit as well by somebody going home and get hit on by somebody having a medical emergency. Or a heart attack.
Right.
I'm just sorry this happened. And we have idiots. Yes, I call you an idiot. If you're drinking and driving, you're an idiot. You're a blooming idiot.
Yes.
And what should happen if we want to make things tougher, which I'm 100% for, if somebody's behind that wheel and they get a DUI, you lose your license forever. Not just a year or two. You lose them forever. Let's hit it hard.
Yeah.
And that way, maybe they can ride a horse to work or something, you know, or walk. Because walking sure ain't crowded.
It's not, but you know what? Unfortunately, I can't see that ever happening because of how much tax money that is made on selling of alcohol.
Well, that's true, and that's why I wanted to peel that can back.
Yeah.
Think about all these stores when they're building a brand new store and they've got their beer permit and they're licensed to sell. They're passing all the rules and regulations that are on the books in the great state of Tennessee, and they spend millions of dollars on these coolers.
Right.
And not only that, but that gets into people who have jobs from the beer distributor. Okay,
Correct. That's right.
and you got to look at every avenue. Where does this end? But then you also have people who work on refrigeration. Like if their cooler goes out, you got your HVAC guy.
That's right.
You know, you got so many aspects, and. You know, and it's sad to say, you know, we're in a county right now in Lawrence County and over in Giles County, over in Wayne County. These counties are state line towns.
Right.
And back in the days when you get down there on that state line, whether you're in Collinwood or Lutz or Iron City or St. Joe, down next to the state line over at Minor Hill, over to Ardmore, these towns were known for their beer joints back in the days on the state line because Alabama was dry.
Right.
But still, these small towns they depend on the revenue from the beer sales in the stores. So there's a whole lot of impact. And yes, I understand, but it's still your freedom and your choice. If you want to go in and buy you a 6-pack, a 12-pack, or a case, that's your right. I just hope you do it responsibly.
Do it responsibly, and I would think that most people they buy that and then they're taking it home and they're within 5 minutes of home and they want it cold. They had a long day at work. They don't want to have to put it in the refrigerator, the freezer, and wait an hour or two. They're ready to go right then and there. And when it comes to alcohol, I mean, I don't drink, so something like this would not affect me at all. But I tend to look at other people and how it affects. I look at the businesses and the people that derive their income off of this. You know, whether you're against alcohol or not, that's not the issue. The issue is it is legal, okay. And I hear a lot of people, you know, they'll sit there and they might be banging on the radio right now, going, "Well, you know, you're not a Christian if you drink." And I'm like, okay, show me that in the Bible, because as far as I know, Jesus turned water into wine.
That is correct.
And as far as I know, when Noah first got off the boat, from the flood, the first thing he did was build a vineyard.
That's correct.
And he even got drunk, and we had curses from him getting drunk.
That's right. Where the grapes fermented.
That's right. So, and even Jesus said that don't drink to get drunk. You know, you drink, but don't drink too much.
When you overpartake, that's when it becomes a sin.
Right, right.
When you overpartake and you become a drunken stupor, or
that's in Proverbs.
That's right. Or you taking money away from your family to provide.
Right.
And putting your personal wants before your necessities.
Yeah, before your family.
And that's a sin.
And that's where I have a problem with it. But as far as, you know, somebody drink, even though I don't drink, as far as somebody else drinking,
that's their prerogative.
It's their prerogative if they do it responsible and they stay off the roads.
Right. So I look at this from a standpoint, we're going down a slippery slope. I know that a lot of people have been up in arms. I'm seeing all kinds of things fly about this bill. Even in my local county, people are calling. I had a particular mayor to call me yesterday, just tore all to pieces about this bill. This bill is DOA. It's dead on arrival. It's not going to pass. I promise you, like I told this mayor yesterday, this is not going to happen. But, you know, there were a lot of people, and we're seeing withdrawn on February 8th, withdrawn on February 12th, withdrawn on February the 14th.
Because that butt's getting chewed on.
These people, their constituents, and these business owners, these beer distributors, they're eating these folks a new ground.
Right.
And like I said, there are some great conservatives that signed on. So what's happening? And some of these people that have signed on, they're quickly getting their name off the bill.
But you know what? That's because people are being involved and they're getting involved. And it shouldn't just be with beer. It should be with every part of our government.
That's exactly right.
If everybody responded like they did, and I'm sorry, it was not a well thought out bill. Okay?
I agree.
If everyone responded that way, because I got news for you, we have a whole bunch.
Let's talk about seatbelt.
Of not well thought out. Yeah, let's talk about seatbelts.
I love to rub you about the seatbelt law. If we'd got it, and that's an unconstitutional law in my opinion.
Well,
it's infringing on my personal rights, my prerogative.
So I'm going to tell you about seatbelt law. I'm going to give you I'm going to spit a little bit of facts here. Number one, you can go back and look when seatbelts became mandatory, and the bad thing is Tennessee was one of the first states in the country to do it. Okay?
That's correct.
So since we had seatbelt laws, and you go look at the Department of Transportation, DOT, and you go look, and I think the last year they had it was 2022, the stats, when I looked at them last, you have, ever since the seatbelt laws up until 2022, excuse me, more people die wearing seatbelts than they don't, number one. Okay. Number two, if the seatbelt law was about saving lives, and we have everybody saying about the kids, why don't we have seatbelts on buses then? Number three, when I got a seatbelt ticket. Number three, when I got a seatbelt ticket last year, do you know who gave me a seatbelt ticket? The Tennessee Highway Patrol on a motorcycle. Where was his seatbelt?
He don't have one.
Right. So you know what? I do have a problem with the seatbelt law. And again, I wouldn't even have much of an argument if we would spend a couple of $100 to put seatbelts on buses. But obviously, it must not be that dangerous, or we don't care about our kids. Which one is it?
Well,
you opened up a can of worms, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and y'all, I apologize. But anyway, the comparison I'm trying to make is there's been so many laws that have been passed, and we're a conservative state.
Yeah.
That have been passed right here in the great state of Tennessee that are unconstitutional. And this is where it's time for us to throttle back.
Yes.
And,
let's get rid of a bunch of laws.
There's a whole lot of laws, and I don't know. We talked with Senator Page Wally about bill reduction.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've talked with,
which Page is for, actually.
Right. We need to see them roll up their shirt sleeves, and let's see this start happening.
So here's the thing. If everybody would follow the 10 Commandments, and everyone would follow the U.S. Constitution, we don't need anything else.
Well, I agree. I just say, hey, follow the Bible, follow the Constitution. You need nothing else.
You need nothing else.
So
all of these other things are done to enslave the masses. Make us into servants.
Make us also try to make us recipients of the government.
That's correct.
That's the bottom line. And you say I've got one of my constitutional books with me again today.
Yeah.
And I think people need to start educating themselves greatly. But to put this beer in the convenience stores to rest, where they can't sell cold beer anymore, this ain't going to happen. I promise you, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think back in the days before convenience stores and Walmart and Dollar Generals and Kroger's had beer, where'd you go buy your beer?
I don't know.
And you remember the old term brown bagging?
Yeah.
You used to go by the jute joint and get you they would slide that 6-pack in a brown bag and you carry it home. That's where brown bagging came into play. But something when I was a county commissioner in Giles County that became very it became a center of controversy was the beer laws, the distance requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And when Giles County adopted the beer law, or the beer laws came into existence like in 1939 in Giles County, the distance requirement was 1,000 feet. But the state gave them up to 2,000. But when Giles adopted theirs in 1939, it was 1,000. So 30 years later, in 69, it went up to 2,000. It went up to the highest number it could be. And the reason it went up to that high number, I guarantee you at some point, some county commissioner in that county in 1968 or 69, there was going to be somebody that was going to put in a beer tavern in one of the communities, whether it be Elkton or Prospect or Minor Hill or Linville. Somewhere a beer tavern was going in, and the way they could stop it was to increase the beer distance.
Beer distance.
And in 2003 or something, I made a motion or introduced a resolution to carry it back to the original 1,000 feet. And a lot of people got up in arms about that, especially the churches. But that's the way it was in 39. So we make laws convenient to whoever is got the power to make that law. We become self-righteous. And that's not our role of government.
No, it's not. And I tell you what, Chris, over the years you have done a lot of good work, and I really hope the people in Giles County appreciate the things that you have done over these years, and even the people of Tennessee, how you have tried to protect our freedoms all these years. Let's get on something good. Let's talk about one of our favorite amendments we like to talk about, and that's the Second Amendment.
Yes, sir.
We actually have, and I'm looking forward to it, we have a gun show in Columbia, Tennessee.
This weekend.
This weekend. Murray County, which is one of the counties that you preside over.
That's correct.
And it's being held at the Columbia National Guard on James Campbell Boulevard. Starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. The guy that promotes the show's name's Ron Henderson. Ron's one of my dearest, closest friends. And Ron told me anybody that mentions the show to him when they get in, they get $1 off of their ticket.
So he's saying anybody who mentions the show that you and I, Free Speech News,
yes,
they get $1 off the ticket.
They get $1 off the ticket.
What is admission to the gun show?
I don't know. I want to say it's $9 or $10.
So he's going to knock $1 off.
He's going to knock $1 off. Here's the other thing that they do, and I love how he runs a gun show compared to some of the other people, is their Saturday and Sunday gun shows. And a lot of times people like to go there both days. Well, you pay both days. Not with them, you don't. With Ron Henderson's called Great American Gun Shows, you come in and you pay for your ticket on Saturday, you get in Sunday for free. If you buy your ticket on Saturday, and let's say you want to go to lunch and come back again, you don't have to pay another admission price. They put a mark on you. They know the mark, and all you got to do is show them the mark, and you go right in. You do not have to pay again, and you don't even have to pay for Sunday even.
That's pretty good.
It's a great deal. And I got another couple of good friends. I kind of want to talk about them a little bit that are going to be there, because I want people to take their Second Amendment, and I want them to be serious about it. And I got a good buddy of mine. His name's John, and he's with his name of his company is bangbangguns.com. Okay. John is given a great deal. All you got to do is you go to John Bang Bang Guns, and you tell him, say, hey, look, I heard about you through the the radio program. And here's what John is going to do. John, a lot of the guns that John sells come with lifetime warranty, number one. He also gives another supplemental warranty about the guns as well, by him, not just the manufacturer, but by him. He'll actually, instead of sending it off to the manufacturer, a lot of times he will fix it for you right there if something happens and it's a gun that you bought from him. He's got a special too. If you buy 2 guns from him this weekend and mention that you heard about it from the radio station, he will actually pay for your entry into the gun show, and he'll give you a free background check and a free lifetime warranty on the guns.
Usually that background check's what, $10?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I mean, you're talking big money here. You go in
Well,
and you buy a gun, you're talking about $20.
You're talking about $20.
You can buy a box of ammo for that.
So.
But John said you go in there and say, "Hey, look, I heard about it from Free Speech News. I heard it from WDXE on the radio." He's going to hook you up. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not like he has 10 or 20 guns. He has hundreds and hundreds of guns. Whatever gun you could want, pretty much he has it.
You think you can get me one of those Glock 17s?
I think he may have. I'm not exaggerating this. I bet you he has 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
You know, that's pretty neat. And a lot of people may not know that a Glock 17 is for real.
Yeah.
And you fire the gun by using a paper clip.
Oh, you're talking about that little bit. Well, no, a Glock 17 was the very first Glock ever made.
But this is the little bitty one that I sent you a picture of the other day. You know I call it the little assassin gun. You know.
Yep.
So, I want to move on, and man, everybody take that up. I mean, that's a great deal with Columbia Gun Show, and you say it's out on James Campbell Boulevard at Murray County National Guard Armory.
Well, there's 3 or 4 I want to mention real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got 3 or 4 I want to talk about. Another, and I want people to go in and not only get their Second Amendment, but these people have agreed to give very good discounts but they got to say they heard it from us. There's another guy there that's called Jerry Lee Accessories. He has over 3,000 items. If you need anything for your AR, you need anything for your Glock, you need anything for your shotgun, he's got it. He has got lasers that you can put on ARs or your pistol or your shotgun or whatever. They're normally $40. Go in and say, "Hey, I want one of these lasers that I can put on my gun." $9.99.
Wow.
$10. Normally they're $40. He has also, he's going to give a show special to people going to him and saying, "Hey, look, we heard it from the show, and it's Jerry Lee Accessories, $349 for a complete upper for an AR-15. Yes. So just want people to know. Then I have another buddy of mine that's there that's called Alpine Ammo. And we know how tough ammo is to get sometimes. Well, Tom is his own manufacturer. Tom doesn't reload. He is his own manufacturer. I've actually been to his plant. I've seen his plant. And I'm going to tell you something. You pretty much name the round, he makes it. And he can do special orders for you even.
Wow. So,
I mean, I don't care if you're looking for, 44 Magnum, 10 millimeter, 30-06, 308, 30-30. I mean, you name it, he makes it. And I own a bunch
of his ammo.
Because I know how meticulous he is.
The integrity he
has. And it's not like, and there's nothing wrong, don't get me wrong, with Winchester ammo or Remington or whoever else you can buy. Here's the thing, I've seen his plant, I've seen his manufacturer, I see how he does things, I trust him. So.
Can you tell where his facility is located?
Yeah, he's actually here in Tennessee. He is in Tennessee.
Great.
And he is in Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Up in Wilson County.
Yeah, and like I said, it's called Alpine Ammo. Great ammo. Then I got 2 others and then I'm done. I got TennesseeKnife.com. And this is Danielle and John, husband and wife. Great people. They actually manufactured their own knives. But you know what? Even if they're not manufacturing their own knives, they have just about any knife you can want. So I'll give you an example. I'm sitting here, I'm on their website right now, but they'll have buck knives, they'll have case knives, they'll have SOG knives. Ontario knives, Smith & Wesson knives, Colt knives. I mean, you name the knife.
They got any kissing cranes?
I don't see kissing cranes on here, but I know what you're talking about. But they do have German-made knives as well. So they have a great selection. They also have anything non-lethal. So they also have the stun guns and things like that as well.
Oh, they got stun guns, tasers, and...
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then also knives that they make. Good quality, American-made knives in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Are they going to be at the gun show?
Yes, these people are going to be there as well. Everybody I'm talking about is going to be there. Tell them that you heard about this from the gun show when you see them, and they're going to give you a special discount. And then the last one is Key Knives, Key. And the guy's name is Michael Key. He hand makes every knife, and he will hand make even to your specification. I own 3 of his knives. I shouldn't say I do. Each of my girls have one, and Victoria has one. And he has specifically made them to what they needed. All American steel. I mean, he actually will do a demonstration where he'll take his knife and he'll get another knife, any knife just about you want, especially ones made in China or India or something. He'll take his knife, he can cut that knife in two, and it still has a sharp blade on it. That's the quality that he has on his knives that he hands make, and he's out of Clarksville, Tennessee.
Wow.
So I just,
So he's got discounts if you mention us.
10%.
Oh, 10%.
10%. I'm going to tell you something. It's big because some of his knives can be $200-300.
Okay.
I mean, these are heirlooms that you pass down to your grandkids even. These are how well these things are made.
Wow.
So
I'd love to go up there this weekend. I'm involved in a meeting again tomorrow.
Yep.
I got to travel up north, and then of course I'm the lone duck in the business this week, so I'm not going to be able to make it. So tell them to hold those discounts for me.
That they will definitely hold the discounts for you.
So and everybody, you see how passionate Lawrence is about his Second Amendment.
Second Amendment, but you know what else I'm passionate about? I'm passionate about good quality.
Yeah.
And I'm also passionate about people that are also passionate about our Second Amendment rights. And
I sit here and think about us talking about this, and a light went off, and it's funny.
Yeah.
For people, I've talked about watching Unashamed with Phil Robinson.
Yeah.
And when old Si, the tea drinkers on there, they go to do these little commercial segments, and when anything is said, go to this site, and he hollers duck. Maybe we need to start hollering gun.
Maybe.
I mean, it's just something that as passionate as you are over there about the Second Amendment, and I am as well. But we need to come up with something like Si does. I get so tickled every time he hollers at duck, for Duck Commander.
Right.
It's funny.
Well, I just will say this, and then we'll move on. Make sure you let these people know you heard about it, because you're getting huge discounts.
That's great. And thank y'all for doing this. We greatly appreciate it, and thank you for our listeners as well.
And one last thing, I keep saying, if you are a cop, sheriff, highway patrol, law enforcement, local, you get in the show for free.
Okay. That would encompass the surrounding area.
That's correct.
Like if they came from Giles County,
Murray County, Lawrence County,
Wayne County,
yes.
Okay. All right. That's a good deal too.
Yes.
Great. Good people. Well, listen, we'll move on in. I want to talk about a couple of pieces of legislation. I know time flies, and I told you I had something I wanted to point out in our understanding of the Constitution, and especially Amendment 10. And I'm very passionate about that amendment, but we'll pick it up in a few minutes. We got House Bill 2689 that's sponsored by our own Clay Doggett.
Clay
in Giles
Doggett.
County. How about them apples?
I love Clay Doggett.
And it's Senate Bill 2516. He's got two Senate. He's got the main sponsor is Frank Nicely. Frank lives over in Sevier County, Strawberry Plains area. Great conservative senator. And then we got Paul Bailey out of Sparta. It's co-signed with Frank on the Senate bill, and it's Senate Bill 2516 and House Bill 2689. And what this bill is really about, and you've seen a while ago where I go into bill summaries and I look things up and I read up on it here on the House website, the General Assembly website. It's really an anti-red flag law.
I like anti-red flag.
Anti-red flag law. And this is a bill we need to encourage our legislators to pass. Thank you, Clay Doggett. Clay is very conservative. You know, Clay was in law enforcement, worked for the Giles County Sheriff's Department back in the day. Before that, he was a corrections officer. So Clay understands these things, and Clay is very much a constitutionalist. And I'm glad these two senators signed on with him, and it's really, it helps introduce and create civil action against any person or your government who tries to infringe upon a person's right to bear arms.
You know what? God bless Clay on this. We need to have teeth into this. It's a shame that we even have to be talking about putting out legislation. I'm not big on legislation, period, but when we have to do this to protect our Second Amendments, I'm glad Clay did it. I mean, as a matter of fact, I'd be even willing to take Clay to a Tennessee football game for that.
Oh, wow.
I
You
think,
hear that, Doggett? You got an invitation. Is that going to be the Tennessee-Alabama game?
Oh, no, because you know how those Alabama fans are. We'd have to get somewhere else. But he needs to get changed over. He lives in Tennessee. He needs to support Tennessee. Not that Alabama football. I mean, I get it. You want to get on the bandwagon and you want to get on the train that where everybody's winning. Well, Nick Saban's gone. It's going to be awful tough. I'm telling you that man was a brilliant football coach.
Yeah, you have to give it to him. He's one of the greatest football coaches of all time.
Yeah.
So can't take nothing away from that. But hey, thank you, Clay, and thank you, Senator Nicely and Senator Bailey, for co-sponsoring this legislation in the Senate with House Member Doggett. And this is so great, and this is a bill we need to support. And thank you. We can't say enough when our rights have been infringed on. Now, you know that Tennessee became a state in 1796. And you know, in 1801, just 5 years later, our House, our General Assembly, passed a law that's unconstitutional about our Second Amendment. And that thing is still on the books today.
It is, and I'm going to tell you something. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm sitting here looking up that, and we actually have a bill out there that is going to correct those things.
That is correct.
And I'm seeing it picking up more and more steam. Thank you, Richard Archie, with the Tennessee Firearms Association, that has gotten on board and is really trying to make this happen. But I'm going to tell you something. I got some good news on this bill that's being put out there, and I'll bring it up here. I'm pulling it up right now as we speak, so everybody knows what we're talking about. You know, the bill. So it's House Joint Resolution.
It's a House Joint Resolution, yes.
0038. Okay, I'm going to tell you what's important about this. Is it basically takes out these Jim Crow laws that were written, but has also affected everybody, not just people of color, but it's affecting everybody. And we're going to go back to where we can have Tennessee participating and falling under the Bruin ruling.
That's right.
That's what this does. And I had this information, and I was talking to Paige Wally about it in the Senate. And the Senate always typically kind of concerns me a little bit, But Page has come out and said that he plans on supporting this, and and he let me know he appreciated me letting him know about this. I'm sure he already knew it, but you know, Page is a very good guy, and he's very easy to talk to.
You know, thanks to the Tennessee Farms Association, and it's a real organization. Forget about the NRA.
Right.
Forget about all these other.
I haven't been a member of the NRA since 2008, but I am a member.
Get behind the TFA.
I do.
And they are doing some great things. John Harris is the state director for TFA, and John's also an attorney.
Right.
And a very constitutional attorney. Of course, Richard Archie is the West Tennessee director of TFA. And man, if you want to get a good, well, I'll say indoctrination on your Constitution, especially your Second Amendment, there's nobody better than Richard Archie.
No, sir.
So shout out to Richard. But let me tell you, he went up and he was invited by Democrats to speak last week, and Richard's had
on this House Joint Resolution, yes,
and he's had shoulder surgery for rotator cuff. And listen, there is I think somewhere around 60 House members that have signed on to this bill, including Democrats.
We have.
And it just tickles you to death when you see these Democrats. I know that Joe Towns out of Memphis, I'm looking right at him right now. He's signed on to it. And that's great. I'm glad to see that this has really took action. And I know that the House Minority Leader is Karen Kemper, and she just couldn't believe there was still a Jim Crow law on the books in the great state of Tennessee right now.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm sitting here looking at, and I got to pick out our favorites, and I'm sorry they are our favorites, but you got Clay Doggett.
Clay Doggett's on there.
You got Jody Barrett.
You got Chris Todd.
And you got the one and only Kip Capley.
And I think Todd Warner's on there.
Oh, of course Todd Warner's on there.
So we got all the Southern Middle Tennessee stout conservatives are signed on to this bill. And I think even, Scott Serpicki's on there. So we got a lot of great people that understand the importance of this. Now, we're going to have 17 people in that House to support this.
You mean the Senate?
Senate. I meant in the Senate. I'm sorry.
Well, like I said, Page has said he's going to. Of course, I don't even talk to Joey Hensley about stuff like this.
We know where Joey is. We know where Mark Pody and Janice Bowling.
Yes.
And Kerry Roberts.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to have some great senators that are going to do the right thing. It's those trans Republicans I worry about. And I have to bring it up because we've got them up there.
We do, but I will also say this. It was the Senate that really held the line during
the special session. And it was.
Say what you want.
They showed out, and I'm glad.
They did. And you know what I think will happen on this? I think the same thing.
I think it's going to happen, and I think even Democrat, we only have, 6 Democrat senators?
But
and I think some of them's going to.
I think some of them will support it because we already had some of the Democrats that are supporting it from the House,
even from Memphis.
I know.
You know, so it's great. I want to talk about something else that's near and dear to me. You know, like we say, it's fastest hour in radio.
It is.
But Clay Doggett, Lord, we're talking a lot about Doggett. Clay is a premier sponsor of House Bill 2685, and also on that bill, I think, let me make sure I've got everything right. I got so many notes here.
Yeah, I've never seen you bring that much notes.
Jerome Moon is signed on with this, and he's out of Maryville, Tennessee.
Is this nepotism bill?
This gets into conflicts of interest bill. Yeah. And Art Swan is the Senate sponsor. I can speak personally about this bill. You know, when you're serving on, and it's dealing with county governments, and when you're serving on the county commission, And it used to have more, it used to be more in depth, but there was some legislation and that got it watered down. It used to be, when I was on the county commission back in 2002 in Giles County, you had a conflict of interest if you or your spouse or your parents or your children or your in-laws worked for the county government in any aspect that you were going to be voting on increasing their benefits or increasing pay, you had to declare a conflict of interest. Now it's just the commissioner, county commissioner themselves, or their spouse. And if they work for any facet of county government, if you're working for the Lawrence County Board of Education, or you're working for the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department or the Lawrence County Highway Department, if you're working for any of those, you got to declare your conflict.
Right.
And you got to actually, I don't know, it used to be you had to stand up and read a statement, and that you were voting your better judgment, not for your own self-right. So what is happening here that Clay is doing is whoever the county commission chair is in each respective county, and usually it's your county executive or / county mayor, as some counties call it. That county chair is supposed to make sure if there's a conflict, he needs to duly note it on the front end.
Right.
And it's what it actually does is like, and I'll give you an example. We had in Giles County back in 2002, we had 8 or 9 county commissioners out of 21 that were directly connected to the Board of Education.
Mm-hmm.
We had a couple who were, one it was to the ambulance service and one to the highway department. They had different conflicts. So anytime there was a 3% or 2% or 5% pay increase, they had to declare their conflict.
To me, here's the thing, it's just a CYA event.
It's a CYA or CYB, cover your butt.
Yeah.
So what would happen is this happened, and this was dealing with going to increase property tax in Giles County at that time, and also it was increasing pay, but with that came a property tax increase, and I know everybody loves them.
Yeah, right.
But there's also a bill about a property tax cap too. We need to get on that and talk about it maybe Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But long story short, this particular person was a principal in the schools, and he didn't declare. And buddy, you had to shoot up quick, because once they drop the gavel and declare it passed, you can't challenge.
Right.
And I challenged commissioner's vote. And the first thing, nobody didn't realize this. And when I challenged his vote, he said, "You can't do that." I said, "I most certainly can." And he wanted to get into a argument right there in county court. So the county chair of the commission immediately called for a recess. They had to consult with CTAST and our county attorney and all that. So the verdict was, when they came back in the room, they threw that county commissioner's vote off. Oh, he was steaming mad. He was ready to tear into me. But the thing was, it was a direct conflict of interest. He was going to get a pay increase. He was going to get things for the school where he was a principal. And all this was on, at the same token, was going to increase property taxes.
It's like the fox watching the hen house.
And that's right. And so there's nothing wrong with it. So Clay is making it a little stronger, where the chair of that commission, it's going to be their responsibility to look after and be good stewards on this conflict of interest, and to duly note it on the front end. But he also gave the public, is that before they declare the vote, the public in attendance can say, that guy has a conflict of interest.
Yep.
So that's good. It's getting we, the people, play dog it. We can't brag on you enough. You and Kip and Todd Warner and different folks in our area.
And Jody Barrett too.
And Jody Barrett. I'm not. I'm talking in the immediate
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
You know, if reach out to Jody, I'm gonna have to reach out to Chris Todd too, because they're all.
Well, Jody Barrett's part of your
Yeah, and
Senate
he does
district,
have
too.
Lewis County.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jody and I, we talked Monday night. I had to go over to Hohenwald
Yeah.
for their meeting, and Jody called me while I was in the meeting. I said, "Brother, we got a meeting over here. I'll call you back." And we're just making sure everybody's staying on the same sheet of music.
Yeah.
And staying conservative and constitutional, and they are. So you need to be proud of your representatives, but shout out to Clay on this one. People need to be supportive of House Bill 2685, Senate Bill 2548. So, you know, a lot of great things, but I know our time gets away, and I want to take 2 more minutes of our time, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up, because gosh, we got less than 10 minutes.
That's right.
So, 10th Amendment. There's going to be a meeting a week from this coming Saturday that is free to the public in Mount Juliet. And you may have, did I leave you my little flyer? Where nullification matters. I want you to talk about it. I want you to keep it, because I printed that for you.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. But the 10th Amendment is very important. It's as important as that Second Amendment. And it's called, the 10th Amendment, just to read it, it's one sentence. It's very simple. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. So, what that says in a nutshell, Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Code or Constitution gives, I think it's 18 or 19 enumerated powers.
Yeah, 18
of the federal government. And y'all listen, educate yourself. The states, or back then the colonies, created the federal government.
Right.
The federal government did not create the colonies or states.
That's right.
So as we added states, which were up to 50, I think I heard Barack Obama say one time 51, or some goofy number.
Or 54 or something.
54. We're still at 50. We hadn't added Puerto Rico and anything. It's U.S. territory. I guess he forgot about that. But there's been a lot of studies.
You know, when you're not a citizen, a lot of times you might not know.
Well, true too. True.
Did I
also.
just say the quiet part out
Yeah,
loud?
the quiet part out loud. That's right. But anyway, with Amendment 10, if it's not in those enumerated powers, you have a right to nullify.
Right.
And you can tell the federal government to go pound sand.
Kind of like what Texas is doing right now.
That's exactly. God bless Texas. God bless Governor Abbott. And God bless all these other states. What is it? 25 states that have signed on. It makes 26 with Texas.
Yep.
And plus the conservative part of California is back in Texas. So that says a lot. But there's a lot of people doing a lot of studying on the Constitution, and here is a big problem. And this comes from the us.gov/federal-agencies. There are currently on this website, there are 659 U.S. government department and agencies. Wow. Wow. 659. So we could say, to name a few, DOJ, Department of Justice, IRS, Internal Revenue Service, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. So that's 3 of those 659 I just called out.
Right.
And then when you do a little deeper research, that did include the 50 states, so subtract 50, you're down to 609. It did include both houses of Congress and the 5 courts, and then they had 53 duplicate agencies involved in this 659. But once we remove all that fluff, we're now down to 537 departments. That's still 537. That's about 530 too many.
Right.
Okay, but
at least 520 if each one of the 18 that there's, and they can't even do that job, right? Because one of the 18 powers that was given to the federal government is to protect our borders.
That is right, and they can't even do that.
No, they can't. So, you know, we
Well,
actually.
let me stop you real quick because I
Okay.
want to finish this.
Okay.
I got it down to 537, but out of the 537, do you know how many agencies constitutionally have the enumerated powers to be created?
18.
Well, it's actually 49.
Okay.
Based upon what the enumerated powers
So
say.
we have some of them that are doing the job of 2 or 3 of these powers.
That's true. That's
Okay.
true. That they're segmenting the powers.
Yeah, they're segmenting the powers.
So we have 49 agencies. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to get people to do, and you're going to see more and more about slogans called "Think About It."
Right. By the way, we really need to talk about this in detail on Monday. We're running out of time right now, but we have a bill, a Senate Bill 2775 and a House Bill 2795 that's going to help reverse this 10th Amendment. And people need to understand the reason we are so passionate about this 10th Amendment nullification, because it is our last stand before we have to use the Second Amendment.
Constitutionally, it's there.
Yeah.
Why do we need a bill? And I understand, but we have to force people in our governments, just like Governor Lee.
Well, our Senate and our House had to do it in 2021 when Biden administration tried to make vaccines mandatory.
That's right.
And thank God our Senate and our House came out and they basically did a 10th Amendment nullification, but only as a resolution.
Remember, people, it's election season.
That's right.
Guess what? It's presidential election season.
Yes.
Early voting started on Valentine's Day in our state on February the 14th.
Yeah.
It will cease on February 28th. Get out, vote. You have no excuse. Just because we do know that Donald Trump is going to win the primary in Tennessee, that still does not give you an excuse not to go vote.
Well,
go
vote. We have 4 school board seats open that we're going to be voting on. So people need to get out and vote. I'm just going to tell you.
Vote. It is your right.
It's your duty.
It's your duty. Exercise your duty. Go vote. Voting day at the polls is March 5th.
Yes. So to wrap
Carrying out on notification, let's talk about what's coming up in Mount Juliet on a week from Saturday on February 24th.
Well, we're going to have a guest speaker, which is Chris Ann Hall.
Look her up.
And it's being brought to us by Uncle Dave Vance.
Uncle Dave Vance. Shout out to Dave Vance.
Dave Vance, I'm going to tell you, to me, he is the father. And between him and Jim Barth have given me so much information on why nullification matters. And I'm going to tell you something, people. If you do not get involved now, you may have to get involved later, and it's going to be a lot worse.
That's right.
So to take us out, it's going to be on Saturday, February the 24th, starting at 10 a.m. It is
seating is limited, by the way.
Yes, you have to call and reserve.
Pre-register. It doesn't cost you anything, but you got to reserve a seat.
That's right, and you need to call. And unfortunately, I do not see the phone number on this.
You have to do it by email.
By email. Okay, so you will contact Karen.Bracken, BRACKEN, at Reagan.com. And I would tell you, the seats are limited. I know they were limited last week and are probably even more limited this week.
They were calling and going over the seat count. But hey, listen, if you need to get people that know Lawrence and I, please let us know. We'll try to get you tickets. I got a couple tickets today.
Yep.
I think they're down to slim pickings, less than 25 seats available. So with that, God bless everybody. God bless the great state of Tennessee. God bless Lawrence and Giles County. It's always a pleasure doing the show with you. Shout out to Todd Warner for sponsoring. and we greatly appreciate WDXE. Until next week. Thank
Until
you.
next week. Columbia Gun Show, everybody, don't forget this weekend.
Right.
All right, goodbye.